Look, memory can change the shape of a room. It can change the color of a car. Memories can be distorted. They're just an interpretation, not a record. They're irrelevant if you have the facts.
Someone wants me. Someone roaming the streets wants me.
Yeah, guys, I didn't know him. That didn't come out right.
It's the Al Travis Show, and we're lucky to have our next guest on. He is Senator Lang. We get him in here every chance we can. Senator, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Good morning, Al. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in a bit of a mood. Well, you don't have any
it's
particular...
going around, yeah.
Well, and you guys are in a busy time of year, but it's the way it's the way the papers, the news, the way we cover things. It gives cover for senators and House members who don't want to be upfront and honest. And permission to use an analogy that I came up with, which is brilliant. Can I do that?
By all means.
So Al Travis's wife gives him $50 every Wednesday to go to the golf course and play with his buddies. All right, $50 every month. I can have a couple of cocktails on the course. I might buy a round when we're in the clubhouse. Tip the young lady very well for bringing us those. I get $50. Well, I'm doing that, and then one week I decide to spend a couple of bucks on one of the lottery tickets, one of the pull tabs, and I win $150. Now this is a fabulous Wednesday. I am buying drinks for everybody. I'm tipping like no. I am all that and then some.
What course is this?
Rose Lake Golf Course, by the way. It's a hypothetical.
Oh.
So now, 1 week later, I realize I don't have $200. Because I didn't win the lottery this week. So I know I can't go back and be the same old Al I used to be. So I tell the wife I'm getting $100 out this week. And she's like, what? And I said, I'm saving you $100. I spent $2 last week. This is a decrease. I'm saving you money. This is the same thing our government is doing us here in Minnesota. You spent $54 billion 2 years ago, plus $17 billion in that lottery ticket, right? We had $17 billion. We just whooshed away.
Closer to 20, and then they put inflation on it. So, yeah.
But to not try to be that guy, take 71, which was the total budget, take 17 off. That meant about $54 billion. Al's $50, if you will. That would have been normal. Now I'm pointing at you, and I'm sorry. They're coming out and telling us we're cutting. The senators want to cut 2,000. The House wants to cut 1,000. The governor wants to cut $256 million. I'm thinking, well, that'll be less than $54 million then. It's not. It's going up to $66 billion, and you start from there. It's like the old lady who got just a great deal on cat food, but didn't own a cat. Yeah, you save some money, but you don't have a cat. Why should we accept that as Minnesotans? It's almost lying. We're cutting by going up $6 billion. What am I missing?
Yeah, here's if you think about it, in 2023, we had a $52 billion budget when we started.
Yep.
We had $18 billion, whatever it was, a big, huge surplus because we didn't spend a whole lot the year before. We tried, we were in control of the Senate at the time.
Yep.
The spending went from 52 to 72, 40% increase in spending. We only had 65 back then. We only had 65. That's what we're bringing in. That's where our surplus came from. So it was about, give or take, somewhere between 65 and $66 billion is what the revenue to the state is. So that's what we're aiming for now. So from 72 to 66, it's a $6 billion cut. So
what? See that?
Cut.
See, but that's why the average guy, your friend, sir, I know you do this for a living. I know the rest of you guys do that. I know that people
this is a part-time job, Al.
Well, no, but my point is you have to get in there. You understand those numbers. Your buddy down the road, he's like, I got to get the kids to school so I can get my job done so I can run to the golf course and spend $50. That's my life. I don't want to have to figure out whether when I'm reading it's a cut, that it's actually a cut like a normal human would think, or is this math game? It's just infuriating. So that's where I'm at.
Well, and you got to realize the wife in the analogy doesn't have an option of whether she's going to give you the $50 or not.
See, it isn't perfect. You're absolutely correct. And we need more. You just grab it from the tax. You're right. I tried. I tried to get in.
Like,
me
no,
ask-
I'm taking $50 from your wallet, honey.
I'm stealing it from your share of the money we had
Yeah.
extra. Okay.
And I'm going to spend it however I want, whether you like it or not.
Can we just do complaining time? Can I complain a little bit? I didn't know
Oh,
the
yeah.
Senator, Representative O'Neill, it was on some committee. Look her up on the
Marion?
House site. Marion, O'Neill. They're talking about the University of Minnesota. And I always have this issue with this because every year they threaten the exact same thing. We need $500 million or we're going to start raising tuition on every one of your kids, right? And it's just the most played card in the history of forever.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you give them the money, as soon as you give that everyone making under $80,000 can go to the university free of charge, we'll pick up the tab. They still raise the price, and then they say, you can't do anything. We're land grant, baby. Leave us alone. She gets on, and I was dumbfounded. These numbers, again, I hate numbers on the radio. We have a law that says no one can make more money than the governor in these executive non-for-profits and that sort of thing. You can't make more than the governor without exceptions, right? You can have an exception here and there. In fact, by the way, the campus management job that isn't filled will make more money than the governor. Okay. But the
Maybe
point
I'll
being
apply.
is, well, if I could do it part-time, buddy, no one's doing it now, I'll do it part-time. But so the University of Minnesota, she comes on and talks about it. She does a Google search. She looks at their books.
Yeah.
There are 100 University of Minnesota people making $300,000. A little more than, not quite twice what the governor makes. 2,100 employees at the University of Minnesota make more than the governor of the state of Minnesota. 2,100.
Oof.
That
2,100 people make 300 grand.
No, 100 make 300 grand. 2,100 still make more than the 175 that the governor makes. Now, for context, I live in a town of 3,000. Everybody in my town practically would make more than the governor if we were the University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't know how people don't go. They can't all have had exceptions. The third science teacher of whatever class did not get an exemption from somebody. Somebody just opened the checkbook and said, don't worry about it. It's a U of M thing.
We'll never get checked. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So how do they come to you all this year and say, we need $500 million or we're raising the price on kids? No. Stop paying people more than the governor makes to run the state, and he's doing the science class over here.
This is a public institution, guys.
Well, it's land grant, these are the things that are driving me crazy. Tell me I'm nuts. Those numbers are astronomical. You might have convinced me 3 people made more than the governor, the president, the vice president, maybe, 2,100 people.
Oof.
How many people work for the University of Minnesota, for God's sakes?
I don't even know. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not trying to. These are the 2 things that got me off today. It's ridiculous, and I presume because she said it on the House floor, and they were doing the committee meeting, and no one at the university said anything about it, and none of the Democrats said her numbers are wrong. I presume they're correct. Now, have I done the research myself? No.
Well, Wikipedia is 100% correct all the time. So
she looked up the books of the U, and then you just bring it up and bring up the money, and it's just crazy. Anyway, I got to go to break. I'm sorry. You're letting me feel much better about me. I appreciate it. I'm not crazy, right? Is that a shocking number? The total number of people making more than the governor?
That to have that number of employees making that, I mean, I like when people make money. There's no problem with that. But when it's a government institution and we're skimping dollars, and if the administration, because I don't think that's your average teacher is not making 200K, I don't think.
No, my wife's in education. But here's the problem. I bring this thing up, and the folks on the other side of the aisle from you know what their knee-jerk reaction will be? We've got to pay the governor more. That's what it's going to be. Well, we got to change that. Let's raise the governor's salary. We'll be back after this with more. I've loved him, Senator Lang.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with DustLock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
Love having Senator Lang on the program with us. Senator, bring this up because I was a little stunned. Like this isn't a day of that. I don't know if most folks knew it, but evidently COVID and COVID-19 pretty much running rampant in state government yet. The rest of us seem to have moved on from, I don't know, 3 years ago. The governor comes out and says, hey, y'all, you got to get back to the office at least 50% of the time. This is a no-win for him. I give him credit for this. He stepped in it on his own. You tell people they got to go back 50% of the time, they're mad, right? They're all upset they got to go back 50%. And the rest was like, you haven't been back to work? We're mad. If he's going to step in and move them back all the time. Did you know that half of our employees, or most of our employees, weren't working full-time anymore at the office?
I did. We've been kind of making a stink about it for several committee hearings. Okay. At one point in time, the Department of Revenue came in and the commissioner of the department said that 98% of his employees are working from home.
Oh,
yeah, 98. It's an awesome piece of audio. And then he proceeded to tell us on how efficient that was.
Well, let's go down that road because we do now this in Zoom. I get to look at it. It's not the old radio days where it had to be a call in and we didn't interrupt each other. Well, I interrupt everybody, according to some people. But so technology can help. And if that is the way this governor wants to run the office, right? If you can do it from home. Managers have some way of handling it. I'm not going to say I'm opposed to it. Right. But then wouldn't you for the last 3 years have dumped office space, stop paying for heat, electric, lights, the one person who comes in and sits and answers the phone you know what I'm saying? If you're going to do it right. And he steps in it there. He didn't do it right then for the last 3 years.
Right. And that was the same point we were making during committee in state and local gov. Like, how many buildings do we have? How much,
Yeah.
asking the question, how many people are in these buildings? If it's a bunch of empty cubicles, get rid of it, sell it off, or make people come back to work.
Well, and again, I presume, and a governor comes out, we're much more collaborative. We have better, yeah, for the reason to come back. Okay, wouldn't that make sense then to come back full time? My point is, halftime seems like you're trying to split the baby in half, and no one is happy. Stay home, great. Get rid of the buildings. Make sure the manager has the right to fire you if you find out you're golfing with Al on Wednesdays having a free beer.
Yeah, that damn pull tam came right back into this.
Yeah, I brought it all the way around like
Yeah.
that. Okay. The other thing, you just quick, and I thought it was funny. So you've heard about Doge and all that they're doing. Our fine governor, I don't know, I think he's in Carolina. I know he's somewhere again today. But he came out and said he's creating a website for Minnesotans to go on and see how all this Doge stuff that's going on, how much that's going to hurt Minnesota. Going to get it all together. It's going to come up really quick. Sir, this guy couldn't get the Department of Transportation's website going for like 6 years and for hundreds of millions of
You guys
dollars.
remember Minlars?
Yeah. And this guy can do this in, we only had Doge for 60 days and he's got this thing up. Do you even believe that? And let me throw that, if he could do that, sir, why not do one that shows all the theft and the waste and the fraud?
Yeah, under his watch. Yeah. So I sit in education finance.
Yes.
And from the get-go of this year, we've had a continual hand-wringing of President Trump and an unelected billionaire. We keep hearing this. And I have to admit, at first, I'm like, well, if they're going to cut funding, it's 10% of the funding that comes to the state.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that we blew through $18 billion in the last biennium, and schools are underwater now because we messed it up so bad. And I say I didn't vote for it, but I was there watching it all unfold. And now I'm sitting in a committee going, I told you so. I told you so. It happened like this. We're out of money. Or I shouldn't say that. We're not out of money. We need to change our priorities from what we're telling people, what we're spending things on, and what we need to do. So the U.S. Department of Education, something that I didn't know a whole lot about until I started digging into it. I get on ed finance, and this is the first year education finance I've been on it. So I dig in, find out what the department does. And really, it's a middleman, right? It's someone taking their cut of the pie. That's all the Department of Education really does. And other than like some federal loan stuff and some grant things, we don't need it, Al. We have a Minnesota Department of Education. And guess what? Over the course of time, it looks like these block grants that they're talking about doing, the 10% that we used to get, probably is going to be more like 12% or 13% because they're not skimming off the top. So we're going to get more money to do the things that we need to do. Boy,
I love
seemed
that.
like a lot of hand-wringing when it actually turned out better.
I love that you're still so optimistic after being here as long as you have, because this is perfect for the Dems. The Minnesota School District, there wasn't one superintendent I've ever talked to that thought what happened in the last 2 years was a good idea. They were going to go under. They saw it. They said, we're going to do it, and here we are. Now the Democrats, thank you to Donald Trump and how quickly he acted, will literally say all these schools are underwater because the Department of Education is gone. And that's all people know. The rest of us aren't digging in like you did, sir. I don't, you know what I'm saying? The rest of us aren't, our job isn't to figure that out. And that's what they're going to say. And that's what they're going to do. Am I lying?
Oh, I think, but I don't think the public is really buying it this time. I have to say, I think for the most part, the public is like, you keep saying this and whatever. Trump's approval ratings are still high. It's not, people are going to give him a little time. Now, granted, he does work a little differently than any president we've seen. Although he probably has to. He probably is at the point where Bush 1, Clinton, Obama, Bush 2, all those guys should have been doing this slowly as it happened. In fact, without that 4 years in the middle, I don't think Trump does what Trump is doing. And I don't think the American people would be okay with it if they didn't have 4 years of Biden in between there. So seeing how bad could it be? Well, it's been pretty bad.
Well, it is. Now, we're lining up. I only have a minute and a half to go, but we're lining up. There's going to be a huge election coming up here in a little less than 2 years. A lot of Democrats in for the Senate seat. The governor seems to be holding off everyone else. He hasn't declared in, and it seems to be, people aren't diving on that seat. How do you feel you know what I'm saying? He hasn't declared, so I don't think anybody really has decided they're going to get in on this thing yet. Do you think the Republicans got a chance in the state of Minnesota, with all that's going on, good, bad, or different, however you look at Trump, that there is some momentum that the Republicans are not going to get their lunch handed to them in 18 months?
Well, for the Senate, I think we're in a very good position to take the majority back. I think the Democrats know that too. The House might be a little tougher to hold on to. And the thing of it is, it's going to be that razor thin majority one way or the other, just because of the way that it all comes out. Minnesota's always been a fairly blue state, but it's been so evenly divided the last few years. I mean, since I've been around, since 2016, there's been a 1-seat majority in the Senate, or 0 at certain times. So, it's razor thin. It's razor thin both ways. I don't think if we win the majority, you'll see us go the opposite of what the Democrats did in 23. We won't go that far, right? Because we just don't do that.
Yeah.
Republicans don't. We'll run the shop like it's supposed to be ran. We'll follow the rules that are written in the book.
You crazy fools. You fool.
All right. If it's germane, guess what? We'll hear it. If it's non-germane, it's non-germane. Everybody in the chamber can have an expectation of what that's actually going to be.
Right. Sir, I'm out of time. Love having you on. I thank you for taking the time to be with us. He's Senator Lang, Andrew Lang on the Al Travis Show.